Camelia here, welcome to a new sewing tutorial. Today I would like to show you how to make the welt pocket on the Estelle pants from Designer Stitch, the latest pattern release from Designer Stitch. This is going to be a really easy application, and actually this is the pocket that I made during the tutorial, you know, this is the end result. So a faux pocket, you have no pocket back here, and I don't really think you want that in a pocket, in a pant like this, because otherwise the pocket is going to get open and it's not going to be very flattering. But again, this is a faux pocket. The welt is still open, but the pants is the pocket is going to stay nice and closed when you wear the pants. Very, very easy to make. I hope you'll enjoy the video, and if you have any questions, of course, put them here in the video description. Again, the instructions here are different than the ones in the sewing pattern, but I think you can try both, make a sample and see what works best for you. Enjoy sewing your welt pocket on the Estelle pants. So I have here the pieces that I need to make the welt pocket, and I'm going to show you again where we are going with this tutorial. So again, we are making the pockets for the Estelle pants from Designer Stitch, and I have here one of my latest ones that I'm working on. So this is what we are going to get in the end. It's a faux pocket, so in the back there is no pocket back, it's only a little facing. But from the front, the pocket is going to look like a real pocket. And of course, what you can do on this one, you can also make a row of top stitching here on the lower part, or you can make only some bar tacks here. Just going to zoom in a little bit. Oop. So a few bar tacks here at the ends, or stitch around the whole thing. In the end, this is open. So it's almost looking like a real pocket, but you know, you don't have all that imprint of the pocket bag and all that. I mean, that's not going to look anyway, it's not going to look good if you put a lot of stuff in a pocket like this. So, you know, we can as well not make it. I'm going to put my pants nicely to the side, and I'm going to show you my way of making this pocket welt. It's really easy. I made it already. This is already my third pair of Estelle pants, and I must say that in all of them I use the same method, and I think it's really, really easy. So I have here only a sample. I'm going to let's see. I'm going to. Oops, sorry. I have here a sample. So we are going to say that this is my back leg. I have here. I made a little note that this is the wrong side, and here on the upper part is the waist. I have my welt piece, the welt pocket piece, and as you can see, it's interfaced. It's interfaced, and I did already fold it in half. That's very easy. Also, in the pattern, you'll get a back of welt pocket. I'm not sure if this is still called like this in the final pocket, final pattern, but this will be that little facing that is on the wrong side of your pants, let's say. So this is what you have to cut. I cut a bigger piece, and you'll see how I'm working out with this one, because you know, if it's a little bit big, it's much easier to walk around or to work your way around. So let's go back to the leg. So this is my leg here. I interface the area where I need to have my pocket, and you see here that I have only an horizontal line where the pocket should be, and the start and the end of the pocket. On the pattern piece, and I have it here, well, you cannot really see because I'm not cutting my PDF patterns, but on the pocket, on the pattern piece, you have a complete window marked like this. But I realized that it's really not necessary to draw all this on your pocket. The most important thing is to draw the middle of this box and the beginning and the end of your pocket. So to do that, I have here my pattern piece is actually folded exactly on the middle of that window, and of course in this case it's easy because I don't have on the leg piece. You have to put this, to sit correctly on your leg pant or your pant leg. But in my case, I just draw it with a pen. I'm sorry. So I don't need the leg pattern piece anymore. Just going to put it to the side, and then I'm now here. So I have my line, and this is everything, of course, marked on the wrong side of my leg. What I need to have now, I need to have these markings actually on the front of the piece. And to do that, of course, you can baste this actually, you know, start exactly where you should start and end exactly where you should end. But to do that, I have the pens that I'm using. They are erasable pens. They are really, I did test on my pattern, on my fabric, and these ones, they are really going away. Because, you know, depending on the fabric, sometimes I have problems that they are not going away, but on this one I did test. So I put a pin on the beginning and at the end, and I can always put a pin in the middle. And then I'm turning this, and I hope you can see my 3 pins here. What I need to do now, it's really easy. I have the cam above my head here, so I cannot really see. I'm just going to turn this. So I know that I have it here. And actually the most important thing in this step is the horizontal line, because you can really decide on yourself. The first step is going to be to, so I'm matching here the beginning, the end, and that middle pin, and I'm drawing my line. So now I know where I need to start and to end. Now here is the waist, here is the beginning and the ending of my welt. I have my welt here, and what you need to remember is that your welt is getting stitched with a 6mm seam allowance, and you can do 2 things. You can either mark that already on your piece, and in my case here they're going to be a 1/4 inch. So I know that I need to stitch on this line. Let's do it like this. To be sure that I measure correctly, the rest of the welt should be 1/2 inch. Exactly, because that's really important, and it is. I can see it here what is left, and that we are going to use at a later step. But the first step that I need to do now, I have the welt here, and I'm going to put it right sides together. So the side that I want to show of my welt, you know, if you use a print or a stripe or whatever, you need to keep that in mind. So right sides together, I'm going to align it exactly against that line that I... Of course, you can also mark the end and the beginning on the welt here to be sure that you are aligning here, but you know, I'm just going to eyeball it like this. And now what we can do, we know that we need to start, because actually this stitching line is going to decide later where you stop, where you start and where you stop on the next step, you know, to have the perfect square. I'm just going to put a pin, not really important at this step, but you know, just to keep the stuff in place. And now I'm going to stitch from this side. I'm going to start here, and I'm going to stitch 6mm seam allowance following my line, and I'm going to end here. So I have here my sewing machine, and I'm not going to start exactly here at the point. So this edge of the welt is still aligned with that line on my piece, and I'm going to start a few centimeters on the line. Let's see, I'm going to put my presser foot down to see if I'm on that line. I have here 6mm. This is my seam allowance marking for the 6mm. I'm going to drop my needle, make a stitch, and I'm going to turn my work. Again, this step is not really crucial if I'm starting and ending at exactly at that line. The next step is going to be very important. But now and I'm going to stitch my marking or somewhere there, and I'm going to turn, and I'm going to continue stitching all the way up or down. Very important, keep that seam allowance 6 millimeters. Let's see, this needs to be on the line. All right, maybe one stitch more. And now I'm going to turn again. I'm going to take 1 or 2 stitches. So this is what it is at this step. Now I have my welt, and I forgot to mention that of course you have to position your welt with the folded edge downwards. Here is the waist, this is the waist, and this is the leg of my pant, so the folded edge of the welt is facing downwards to the hem, let's say, and the raw edge is facing the waist. So now I have my welt, you can see it here, 6 millimeters. The next step, what we need to do, I'm going to check again if my welt is really a ½ inch, because I really, let's see, I'm going to bring this a little bit. So by that I mean that the what is here loose, so this should be really nice and straight, and ½ inch. I'm measuring from the stitching line to the edge of that welt. Now what I want to do, I want to turn this back again. I promise you, if you're going to follow these steps, this is going to be perfect. And as you can see here, I can see my previous stitching line is starting here and is stopping here somewhere. I'll have to look really well. What I want to do now, I want to make a line here that is exactly the width of my welt on the other side of the, you know, that the finish welt. So that is, it was a ½ inch. This is 5/8 inch, this ruler. So it will be 4 of these little squares. And of course you have to, let's see, I'm going to put this a little bit out. So I have it here, let's see, 4. This is actually the most important, because this is going to, this next step is going to give us the size of that window. So I made my line, and I know that I'm going to stitch inside this line. That's very important, because my line is 1 millimeter maybe thick, but I'm going to stitch exactly inside the line. So this is the window, you can already see it together with the stitching line. This is the window that is going to be for the welt, and I can make a line here, and I'm going to use all these lines to make it really nice and square. And I know you cannot see a lot, but I'm going to show you in a moment, because otherwise I cannot see if I don't pull it a little bit close to me. So that is one, and again everything needs to be, the stitching line is square on my ruler here, this line is square on my ruler to make that end line, and I think it's here. It's really hard to see. Should have used something that was much more visible. So now I have this one marked. I'm going to turn it back again to the front side, and I'm going to bring my facing piece, and let's say it was going to be again right size of the facing to the right side of the leg. In this case it's almost impossible to see, and you know, because I have it so big, I'm just going to place it here. It's really okay. So here is my welt, and I'm just going to place this here. This is going to give me enough space to cut it later with and you know, I can serge it in one step. So I'm just going to turn this now to the wrong side. You can put a pin, you know, if you have a fabric that is going away from you. I'm going to turn it, and what I want to do next, I'm going to stitch from this point to this point, and in this case it's really important to have it square, to start and stop exactly at the same spot. So I am going to put a pin or two. Well, I do need to put some pins, otherwise the thing is going to go away from me. And you know, if your fabric can get damaged by the pins, I will not pin everywhere like I'm doing here. But you know, it's a sample, I don't really care. So I'm going to go again to the machine, and we are going to start again somewhere here, turn the work, and come with some small stitches here at the end to try to meet exactly, I cannot even see it, to exactly where I started here. I'll have to start here again and go back all the way, and again if necessary use some small stitches, and then turn the work again and stop here somewhere. So we are going to do that. I feel here here is the welt, of course, but it's really not bothering me. And again, I have that big piece of fabric underneath as a facing, so it's really okay. So I'm going to come with my needle again somewhere a few centimeters away from the end. So not exactly here, but somewhere here, because you cannot really go and backstitch. And I'm going to drop my needle, as I said, inside that line. And if I was to come with my little ruler, I have exactly 1, 2, 3, 4.5 inch to the stitching line, and that's going to that's telling me that my welt, my cut welt is going, or my folded welt is going to fit exactly in that window. So I'm going to take 1 or 2 stitches here, and I'm going to turn my work. I'm going to clip this thread. Let's see, I need to start my iron again because we are going to knit it in a moment. And I'm going to stitch now back to the beginning. And now I'm going to put my stitch length to maybe 0.5, and I'm going to, let's see, and the thing is that you can always, when you are done, you can take a look to see if you really stopped at the right place here, and otherwise you can always just come in and take a stitch more. So now I'm going to stop because I think I'm exactly where I wanted to be, and I'm going to stitch all the way to the other side. I'm going to take this pin away, and I'm going to put my stitch length now back to the usual 2.5, and again try to stay on that line that you made. That's important. I do feel like I'm going a little bit sidewise here. All right. So now I'm going to put it again really small, maybe to a 1. Let's put it to a 1. 0.5 is really small. And I'm going to, I think I need 1 more, you know. Lift up your presser foot and take a look. I think I need 1 more. And then I'm turning my work again, 1 or 2 stitches, and I'm good to go. So now we can take a look. This is how it's looking from this side, and this is how it's looking from the wrong side. And if I'm looking really close to this, I think I'm really good. You can see the pink thread here. I think I'm okay. So now we can cut our work. You have it here. Let's take the pins out, and this is how it's looking now. I'm going to give this a little bit of a press. And And this is how it's looking now. Again, I did use here, the first line was made with a ball pen, so that's why this is not going away. So what I want to cut now, and I'm going to put this a little bit closer. Take this open to the like this. Let's see. And now I want to peel off the facing again, and I want to reveal this. And I'm going to start cutting somewhere in the middle. So again, I'm cutting now only through the leg of the pant. And I'm just going to cut along this seam allowance of the welt. Like so. And I like to leave kind of a big triangle, so not a really skinny one. And I need to bring this a little bit closer, because now is the moment that you really want to cut up to that last stitch, but not through it. And also this one I need to bring it a little bit closer because I can't see otherwise. Like this. And you know, if you definitely interfacing is very, very important to interface the back of this pocket, because otherwise when you cut this in a corner like this, you have the chance to, you know, just lose your fabric. Like so. And again, when you are going to turn it and you feel like it's getting all ripply in the corner, it's just because you need to cut maybe one fiber more. So now I have it cut, and what I want to do now, so again, this is the, here you have down, you have the hem of your pants, here is the waist of your pants, this is the welt facing to the hem, you know, the folded edge, and this is that little facing. Well, in my case, you know, this in my case is really big. So I'm just going to push everything back now here. You know, the pressing is going to come in a moment. So you put this to the back, you put this to the back, everything is to the back. And now I want to put the welt to push these ends here to the inside. You know, sometimes I even like to make the welt a little bit longer, so I have a little bit space here to pull on. And if we are going to, let's see, oops. So now I'm going to turn this again, take that facing nicely out, this, and turn it back again. As you can see, that facing is really way too big, and I knew that, of course, but that's okay. And now you have your beautiful welt, which is almost done. You only need to push those triangles nicely to the inside, and here also. And the next step is going to be pressing this. So now I have here my little piece with my beautiful, beautiful pocket. I have a thread here. So what I want to do now, I want to take my iron, and we are going to do, oops, I thought it's going to fall. We are going to do a little bit of a pressing. Going to warm this up. Well, that was not a bit. I'm using an iron that is old, and as you can see, I think it just gave me a bit of a... So now, all right, I'm just going to cut the edge of that facing here up. Okay, I will say also that, you know, when you are using your, I'm just going to cut the facing, you know, because otherwise you get confused why that's so heavy. So this is how it's looking now. The next step, what you need to do, of course, you know, when you make this in real fabric, you give a little bit more, you'll be more careful with pressing. You have to use probably a pressing cloth. What you want to do at this step, you have to peel this, only the leg to the side, and you put a pin here, catching this triangle and pin through all the layers, like so. You pin through the triangle, the welt and the facing, like this. Check on this side if it's nice and straight. Then go to the other side, do the same. You have the pin, but I really need to grab this. Straight, this needs to be really straight because you are going to stitch here. Check again if it's straight. I'm going to stitch here and on the other corner, and then we are almost done. So to stitch those corners, and actually those corners are deciding for you how straight your pocket is going to be. So I'm just going to peel this back. And of course I have my pin wrong, the wrong way facing. So I'm just going to put it like this. And if this is nicely straight folded, I know that my pocket is also going to be straight. And I'm going to put this one to a 1.5 or whatever. And stitch exactly. And what I like to do, I'm not going to back stitch, but I'm going to move my fabric just a little bit and then go backwards. And then stop again, move again to the other side and make like a little bit of a zigzagging. And what's that going to do is also going to flatten that edge. So all these fabric layers here, I think I need to clean my machine. All these fabric layers here, they are really nice and flat. So now you can see here the first part of the pocket or end of the pocket or whatever. And now I'm going to do this one. Hey, this one is correct. The same. Again, I'm using a stitch length of 1.5. I like to put the feed dogs down so I can slide my fabric underneath. And again, I'm going to do the same. I'm not really back stitching, not necessary. Backwards, forward again. I have one of those special pedals that I can do that with my leg. That's why I'm not pressing any buttons. Alright, so now this is done. And I think it's looking great. This is so simple. I mean, talking about it is taking longer than making it. And the next step is going to be, so I have this now like this. What I would like to do, I would like to peel this down, put it nicely and straight. As you can see here, I'm going to show it again. Here is the waist. I'm going to peel the waist leg, or the leg only down to reveal that seam allowance, and I'm going to stitch on the top of the previous stitching line. This is the facing here still. I'm going to put my length higher now. Is it to 2.5? Yes, so everything is really nicely flat. I don't know if this step is really necessary, but I like to do it. I have the feeling that everything is sitting even nicer here. And then I'm going to do the same with the lower part. And this one here is important because if you don't stitch here, oops, then you have a hole and you don't want that. So I'm just going to put this again really nice and flat. Peel everything back. Like so, and I'm going to stitch on the top of the previous stitching line. And again, this step is really important because it's going to close that faux pocket. Let's see where my needle goes. All right. It's important here not to go over that line. It's okay if you stitch just next to it. So I'm going to move back to the other cam. So this is what we have now. So the pocket is actually completed. It's not really easy to do this when I need to watch from far away because the cam is otherwise on my head. So this is the final pocket. Again, use a pressing cloth when you're doing this. This is really easy. There is no, it's only requiring a little bit of measurement. Now, what we need to do here with the back, so here again you have the waist. What I like to do, of course, trimming all these threads, and if you are using matching thread, it's even better because you will not have all these things showing. But what you want to do now, I'm just taking this to my serger and I'm just serging here around, like I show you in my finished pocket here, like this. And this is how it's going to look. I think it's really beautiful. It's bulk free. You don't see it from the other side of your pants. And to make it a little bit here that you can get an idea how this really wonky facing is going to look, I'm just going to cut it like so, and then you go with your serger here. Oops. And by now you can stop the video and go on with your pants. I'm going to, you'll find here on the channel also a little video on how I'm putting the elastic in the waistband of the Estelle pants. A very easy application also. I think you'll enjoy that too. So this is how it's looking from the inside, and this is how it's going to look from the outside. Really easy to make, just requiring 2 lines, and your welt is ready. Again, you can make here bar tack. It's not really necessary because these ends are already secured. Here you can also make a row of maybe instead of stitching here, if you don't mind showing some top stitching, you can make a row of top stitching just here on the edge of the welt. And here you have your welt pocket. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget thumbs up and the comment. I really like. I hope you have some use from this tutorial. Again, give it a try, make a sample first, and I think you are going to love it.